All right, let's go to the next section, research design. Experimental studies often have a section in the method describing the design of the study. Typically, the independent variables in the study would be described here. For example, the study might involve a 2x2 design with one independent variable being treated or controlled conditions and the other independent variable being biological sex. It would be helpful to describe dependent variables in this subsection as well. So research design, they're going to talk a little bit about how you decided to do this research. I'll give you an example. Let's say, and this is a very common one, let's say it's a medical example about a medication that they're thinking about producing and giving. Let's say it's a treatment for diabetes, okay? So maybe we have 20 people who are participants here. We'll split 10 of them to be kind of like the ones that don't actually get the treatment, and then the other 10 will get the actual new medication. But you don't just like not give the 10 people in the group one nothing. You might give them some sort of placebo pill or a fake pill, a sugar pill, a Tic Tac, or something like that, okay? So they both are eating or consuming a medication. However, 10 of them are actually getting nothing really that would fix their or help improve their diabetes, but the other 10 will be using the new experimental drug. And the reason why we do this is because sometimes psychologically, if we think that we're taking something like a medication, we might say, oh, I actually do feel a little bit better. Really, when you're just taking a sugar pill, which should not affect anything about it at all. Okay, so that might be one design method that they use. So when you're reading journal articles, you want to skim through the research design section just so that you can kind of get familiar with what they were doing. Okay, again, that's just one of many, but it's a common example that will help you understand this. I don't expect you guys to know all this stuff right now. You guys are undergrads, and you just need to get a taste of what's going on. Okay. All right, let's talk a little bit about measures. This section describes the tests or instruments used to collect data. It would be appropriate to describe any questionnaires that you use. For example, if you use the Marlowe-Crown Social Desirability Scale in your research, you may say that the Marlowe-Crown Social Desirability Scale comprises of 33 true-false items that measure social desirability. You may also provide the reader with information regarding the MCSD score's reliability and validity. Okay, so let me explain a little bit about that. So in the measure section, you're going to use how you collected your data. So that would be a questionnaire of some sort. So the example here would be the Marlowe-Crown Social Desirability Scale. That would be some sort of questionnaire. So if it was a questionnaire, you would want to talk a little bit about what kind of questions they are. Is it true, false? But could it be also a Likert scale? A Likert scale is that, that kind of like mathematical line. It's a 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then it says, 5 being very much like and 0 meaning not very much like. And then the middle would be neutral or something like that. Or it could be multiple choice. It could be something like that. Or it could also be something physical that the person has to do. Maybe it is the pressure that they can hold an object because they have a specific disability. You would also want to provide the reader with information regarding the reliability and validity. So that would be, if it is a survey that has been established before by other people, they probably tested it with a lot of people to see whether or not the results are accurate. So you would also want to let them know, the reader know, when you used it, what the historically was its strength in validity and reliability. Do this for each survey measure and used in the study. In the event that the purpose of your paper is to develop a new questionnaire, you may wish to describe reliability and validity in the results section, see below. However, you would only do so for a scale development project. What that basically means is this is as much as you're going to talk about with the survey. However, if your research paper or the paper that you're talking about is about developing a survey, so research developing a survey, then you would want to continue on and talk more about the survey in greater detail in the results section and discussion section. All right, let's go to the procedure section. This section describes in great detail the data collection procedure. Describe how participants were recruited. That means, did you get them because you were a teacher and you asked all of your students in your class? Was that how they were recruited? Did you go to the mall and did you stand in front of the front door and collect data that way? And then it says whether they participated alone or in groups, so depending on how they did it, and also how informed consent or assent was obtained. So did you inform them about the study Did you let them know that it's completely voluntary? They can quit in the middle of it if they want to. What was the information that you let them know about their rights? Okay. What they were asked to do. So did they fill out a survey? Did they have a jump up and down to measure, their heartbeat? What did you have them do? How they were compensated for their participation. So that would be about, did you give them money? Was it a gift card that you gave them? What did you do for them so that they did your survey? Sorry about that. I'm trying to maneuver my recording. It just got a little funny. All right. So you want to also make sure that a lot of this is detailed. And that should describe the procedure in a way that other researchers, so let's say that if this is your paper and you described it so that if I read your paper, I could also exactly do what you did. Okay, I can close my eyes and envision it. So when you're critiquing a journal article about this section, you want to visualize whether or not you know exactly what you need to do as well to collect the same amount of data by reading through the procedure. All right, the next section is the results. The results section may be the most difficult to write, at least until you get a little practice with reporting statistical analysis. So for this section, I'm going to let you know now, you guys are beginners. You're not expected to know a lot about the section. However, I encourage you to still go through it and peruse and get familiar with the wording. Okay, this is a section where the results of the data analysis are presented. Section 2.07 in the APA manual will help a little bit, so you want to read more into it. It's often helpful to use tables to describe your results, especially when you have a lot of data to report, such as the means and the standard deviation. Table 2 provides another example of a table, this one describing correlation. So let's say that you have a lot of information and you might want to talk about the demographics. Maybe a pie chart will help a little bit more visually. Okay, you don't want to have your reader read everything if it can be described visually, because people can glance at it and look at it and understand immediately what your data means. Okay, so it could be a bar graph, it could be a scatter plot, it could be, again, a pie chart, it could be a table of some sort, just so they can glance and look at it really easily. Okay, you may find it helpful to remind the reader of the hypothesis before presenting each result. It's also a good idea to tell the reader what type of data analysis was done. So that means, was it a correlation analysis? Was it an ANOVA? Or was it a MANOVA? Or was it a regression? There's so many different types. So just read through it. Again, I don't expect you guys to understand what all these things are. Just realize that there are different types of ways to calculate statistics. State what alpha level you adopted. Again, that's something that you might not understand just right now. An alpha level of 0.05 is a standard. There's also 0.01. But again, just read through it, try to understand what's going on. Although you should be sure not to try to interpret or explain your results here. In the results section, you want to be a little bit more scientific. You want to talk about what the statistical analysis says. You don't want to do any analysis just yet, okay? That'll be for the next section. So although you should be sure not to try to interpret explain your results here, it is appropriate to state whether or not your hypothesis was supported. Just don't try to explain why the hypotheses were or were not supported. That's what you have in the discussion section. And that moves us to the last section. The discussion is the fourth and final section of the paper. This is the part where you interpret and explain your results. Try to explain what you found and what you did in your study. Is it what you predicted? If not, why? You would have to think about your results in a theoretical and meaningful way. So this is where it involves a lot of critical thinking. You need to start to think about the reasons why your sample population gave you the results that you got. Okay, is it similar? Is it different? Is it because previous studies, they were all Caucasian and now you are doing research on all Latinos? So if that is, there might be reasons why there are differences, okay? So you have to think critically about it. Also, how do your findings fit in with previous theory and literature? Same thing again. Are your results consistent or inconsistent with what has been found in the past? If they're inconsistent, can you explain this? Again, it's all about understanding the big picture. The explanation and interpretation of results will probably be the biggest part of your discussion. So this is all about the data that you collected, and you want to really interpret all this part. So this is the section that's going to be probably expanded quite a bit. And then at the end of this section, there are two additional parts of the discussion. First is include limitations of the study. Describe the ways in which the internal or external validity of the study may have been compromised. So what could have gone wrong? Was it the sample was just too small? Did you only have 30 when you really needed 1,000 people? What was it? And there's mathematical equations that will help you actually decide all that stuff. But maybe you just didn't have the time or the money to get 1,000 people, let's say. So again, these are restrictions or limitations that could have altered your results. Was the sample biased? Was the measures problematic? Like, did you survey 1,000 people, but only 500 people finished the actual survey? So you had to discard the other 500? Because that would be horrible, right? You did all that work and you realize, oh, wait a minute, this person didn't answer all these questions and I can't really use it. Again, that's also debatable depending on the researcher. Sometimes they'll say, you know what, we'll never have another opportunity to get the same population, so we're going to use as much information even if it's not completed. Again, depending on the researchers and their explanation, their justification. Think about what you would do different next time if you conducted a similar study. So again, now that we have done the experiment and gotten the results, what could have we done that would make it even a better research article? Future research ideas are often discussed when limitations are discussed. Okay? And again, a lot of the research that you do, you're hoping that will fuel other people or could help you motivate yourself to do additional research and continuing this line in this topic. All right. Second, describe the implications of your findings and to theory and practice. So now we're talking about the big picture in the sense of how does it fit in with the theories that you've learned? Or how is it going to affect professionals in the field? Maybe your results say that case managers for rehab, Department of Rehab, spend too much time with paperwork and not enough time building an empathetic relationship with their clients. So that means that they need to actually reduce the amount of paperwork and increase that, okay? That would be something that would affect the practice of that profession. Answer the question, how does my study add to the psychological theory? Again, I was talking about the conceptual part. Also, think about practical applications of your findings. Like we just said, perhaps give some additional directions for future research. So again, we're talking about doing continued work on this topic because maybe it's really important. Maybe it's your niche. This is maybe your passion about this section or this population. So you're going to want to go further and do more research. You don't just one article that you're like, okay, I know everything about this population. When you've done that, you've written a paper in APA style. Yay, congratulations. The next page is a reference. So it's a very typical one. If you've done this before, you understand that references are hanging indentation. The first line is fully justified to the left. However, any line after that, it will be indented in. That's called a hanging indentation. Pay attention to what is italicized, what is in parentheses, what has a period following it, what has a comma following it. Just the basic stuff. You can find this on Purdue OWL. And then the next few pages that you see, you're going to see basically tables. Tables are lines with numbers on it that you can just kind of read across, and you get a lot of information, like maybe the alpha. And stuff like that, the results, okay? But it could also be the bar graphs, the pie charts, the scatter plots, whatever it is that we talked about before as well. All right, that is it for this. Oh, you know what, though? I do want to say, I hope this helps you become more familiar and comfortable reading journal articles now that you understand all the different parts. Okay, be more thoughtful. Again, this is a writing intensive class and reading intensive class as well. So be sure to give all your journal articles a chance and read through the entire thing. All right, talk to you later. Bye.